Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, Tash Peterson and Jack Higgs. Welcome you to the stage.
Clap them on, clap them on. You can see which side they... I'll leave it up to you to see which side they're on.
Yes! Woo! Let's go vegans!
Just as a guess, who do you think they're representing? Lawyers or vegans? Just as a guess. What do you think? Absolutely, rock on.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get the lawyers on. John Hammad. Woo! Welcome to the stage. Massive round of applause.
Well done. Congratulations. Johnny, you brought your own fan base, did you? With you tonight,
I can't see it.
Yeah, we're gonna. You'll be signing autographs out the front, legally binding too. So if you want anything like that, cool. We want to kick this off. What do you think?
Let's do it.
We want to kick this off. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. I'm going to ask the question. Are we going to deliver? Who's going to work first? Who's going to? Do we give it to one? Do we give it to the other? And then they go, or do we just bring it to the crowd? What do you think?
We'll bring it to the vegans first.
Yep.
Bring it to Tash and Jack, and then I would allow John to defend the statement.
Alrighty, so to the vegans first. Do you want me to call you the vegans, or do you have like another name you want me to address you as?
Fine.
Love it, I love it. You got to check, got to think. All right, question number 1: should public displays of partial nudity in stores be considered acceptable and legal? Should public displays of partial nudity in stores be considered acceptable and legal?
Now, if anyone doesn't know, Tash has a way of going into stores. Would you like to explain what you do, how you do it?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
So, yeah, my activism, a lot of it is partial nudity because I use my body to bring light to the animal holocaust and animal suffering. And I use creativity in my protests, whether that's dressing as a slaughterhouse worker with blood all over my costume and holding a pig's head to bring light to their suffering, or being partially naked with blood all over my body to bring light to the animals who have their skin ripped from their bodies to be made into leather or fur products. So
just to clarify the thing, when you're going out to these activisms and you do say partially naked, what was the law say to you that would be? What are you looking like essentially?
What am I looking like?
Like you have
just
no
in my
shirt
undies.
on, no underwear,
yeah. Topless in underwear.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So the question is: should public displays of partial nudity in stores be considered acceptable and legal? Off you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it should be. There's nothing inherently wrong with the naked human body. I mean, Australia in particular, I feel like our culture is very backwards because people are suddenly outraged by a topless woman in a supermarket. And I've faced ridicule and hatred for doing it. And in fact, I have a criminal record just for being topless. So I think that's absolutely insane. I think even over Easter it wouldn't happen to me. It's just WA in particular, the laws are so draconian that is considered disorderly conduct for being topless and naked in a store, for using my body in a way to bring light to the animal holocaust and animal oppression.
With just for some more clarification for the argument, what was the genesis of the thought of using that as your expression? Like, where did that start? How long ago did you do it? How did it feel to have that idea and then execute it?
Yeah, so the first time I did a topless protest was to bring light to the atrocities happening in the dairy industry, where dairy cows are subjected to rape, their babies are kidnapped from them and murdered if they're born male. And I came up with a costume idea to paint the upper half of my body painted as a cow and then tie the cow onesie around my waist. And from that moment onwards, I realised the power of creativity and just using my body in general to tie into the message that I'm conveying as an animal rights activist and bringing light to their suffering, because everyone goes crazy when a woman takes her top off, essentially, and it grabs the media attention and spreads my message for animals.
Just as I feel the room out, make some noise if you eat meat.
Vegan meat!
Make some noise if you don't eat meat. Fantastic, fantastic.
Sounded pretty feminine.
Was that the IT guy?
Yes.
Oh,
dude, you're the least masculine guy in the fucking room. Okay? Turn yourself on and off again. Is all I'm saying. Your thoughts on this, brother?
I would say, what's the difference between a woman taking the top off and a guy taking the top off? You go to the beach, every guy there is going to have their top off. The moment a woman takes off their bra, it's considered disorderly. I think that's bizarre. It doesn't make sense to me. But at the end of the day, if it's going to grab a lot of attention, that's what Tash is doing. She's using it as a tool. And if it brings more people to the animal rights message and considers their rights to live free from harm, I think it's a really powerful tool.
Well said. Anything more from you two before we throw it over to Dr. Law?
Don't think so. Go ahead.
What do you think, H? Dr. Law. It's your DJ name, by the way.
I'll let you ask the question and I'll answer it.
The question is should public displays of partial nudity in stores be considered acceptable and legal?
Okay, looking at it from purely a legal sense, I have no, and people who know me well, I have no objection to nudity. But and I also, on one level, I do agree with Tash, if I can call you Tash,
Yeah.
that there's absolutely nothing wrong with nudity in a public place, and we overreact as human beings to seeing nudity. Yet you can turn on Netflix and watch the Saw franchise and watch drills going through people's heads. Now, that to me is pornography, but that's a different topic. Now, if we're going to argue this legally, and I'm here for the prosecution, where Tash does overstep the mark is when she is, say, in a store. Not that she is nude that is offensive. Not her message is not offensive either. It's how that message is conveyed. So in the case in which Tash was found, her conviction was upheld on appeal, the full court of the Supreme Court said the behaviour was offensive, and for a number of reasons. They said one of the reasons that resonated with me as a lawyer, notwithstanding the sympathy I have with Tash Peterson in some of her causes, is that children find a topless woman smeared with blood talking about rape and murder confrontational and offensive and intimidating. So whilst the message, a lot of what and we can go into different levels of this debate, and one is, you know, the slaughter of animals and the like, whilst so much of what you say is right, in my opinion, it's how that message is delivered. Now, some of the protests, there was one that I looked up on the net that I wasn't aware of at all, which I thought was extremely clever, is when Tash Peterson and a female friend of hers wrapped herself up in a meat package with plastic over the top of her, and I thought that was very effective. And I didn't see anything particularly offensive about that, and I don't think it should be legally regarded as offensive, that particular protest. I think when children are involved and people are going about their ordinary business and they're being interrupted from doing that, then yes. Like, I wouldn't want to be subjected to someone telling me what to do when I'm at KFC. I don't want to know, I don't want to be told. I do love the debate, however. Just get me somewhere else to have that debate with you.
Can I just confirm just what I'm hearing here? You're coming from a point of public safety around children, mainly?
Mainly,
and
yes.
also the freedom for people to go about their life and business.
Yes.
Yeah. Tash, can I throw something do you have something to add on that?
Yes. I also think that when you advocate a cause so strongly, you can tip over into the realm, and I say this with the greatest of respect, you can tip over in the realm of arrogance. It's a bit like when we get upset with people who are extreme Muslims promulgating their cause to the point where we are going to kill you if you don't believe in us. Tash Peterson doesn't go that far, but it goes to the extent of, I am so right, you have to listen to my message.
Tash, can I throw something to you, if that's okay? When you do these things knowing, I guess you know that it's going to cause a reaction, is the bigger the reaction something that you will chase because you know that it will create more awareness through people's disgust of the activity?
in a sense, that does play a role. Obviously, the more controversial, the more out there, the more attention that protest is going to generate in terms of people reacting in the moment to seeing a bloodied activist doing this type of activism that I do, or the reaction from the media, etc. It is certainly creating a huge dialogue, and that's exactly what I want. I want everyone to know my message for animals, and I think disruptive activism is one of the few forms of activism that will actually generate that form of attention and bring in to light animal oppression.
Anything to add on that?
Yeah, again, I agree where Tash is talking about cruelty to animals, about the way they're being farmed, about calves being separated from their mothers, all of that. Totally agree with you, Tash. Where I don't agree is that we have been consuming meat and meat products for 2.5 million years, and I believe that will never, never stop. Indigenous Australians survived on kangaroo meat. They wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the kangaroo. Alaskans survived on seals. A number of our most important drugs, such as insulin, that comes from pigs, for example. Cortisone is pig derived. I think we are going to keep killing animals. We're going to keep killing human beings pretty smartly too. But there are also a species, and I'd ask Tash this, there's a species of animals that Tash would know called the obligate carnivore. The obligate carnivore only survives by eating other animals and tearing them to shreds. The polar bear tears penguins to shreds in the natural habitat. The lion tears zebras to shreds in the natural habitat. The orcas eat the sharks. The sharks feed on lesser fish than they are. So the killing cycle will never end because that's part of our human ecosystem. When you talk about cruelty to animals, I'm on the same page, but I don't think we're ever going to stop the killing cycle.
Man, he's so professional.
Dr. Law. While we're having this as a group, I've noticed some things being yelled at from the audience. Someone's yelling out "based" every now and then. Who we got that? Sorry. Just in one sentence. So you can obviously keep doing it. This is a debate, but just in one sentence, can you round up what you mean when you say "based"?
If we're talking about things that are based in biology and human evolution, that's primarily where it comes from. If you want to argue that we're in a space today where we can make a choice to choose between either or, that's kind of indifferent to where we've come from.
Rightio, got it. All right, well, I think this brings us to our next question quite nicely. Where so the second question, and I'll throw it to the law first this time, and then you guys can come back. So debate number 2 is and then I think you've kind of covered this, but I'd like you to round it up again. But should the act of killing animals for any purpose be made illegal and carry legal consequences?
If you're going to use the phrase "for any purpose," then there should be an illegality attached to needlessly killing animals. Animals that are harvested for human consumption, obviously that should be, in my opinion, legal, and providing it's being done humanely. That is the key to harvesting animals humanely. I think for life to continue, and I've mentioned drugs, I've mentioned what animals do to other animals, I've mentioned certain categories of people need meat and survive on meat. So for life to exist, we have to take life. And as human beings, we've been doing that ourselves for many hundreds and millions of years.
Jack, I'll throw this to you as a retort to that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you're saying that we need to do it. Fundamentally, it's part of our survival, and we
keep in mind the question is: should the act of killing animals for the purpose be made illegal and carry legal consequences? You go.
Oh, I would say definitely it should be made illegal, considering the fact that we do not need to consume animals in order to survive. There's a lot of evidence out there now, there's a lot of scientific consensus that we do not need to consume animals in order to get all the nutrients we need to survive, and that is a fact. Moving beyond that, you're saying that there are some circumstances where we would need to kill animals. murder animals in order to attain them as a resource for survival in certain circumstances, extreme circumstances, well then I would pose a question, but would you then go and kill other humans in order for other humans to survive?
Yes, I would. And we do that in war. I would certainly take, if someone tried to invade this country, I would sign up and I would kill people that would come onto my territory without a fight.
Yeah. So you're...
Geez, you lot are bloodthirsty, aren't you?
You come into my home and threaten my family, I'll kill you.
Yes, sir.
So you're talking about a survival situation.
Yeah, I am, but...
Selling a Bugatti.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, but I think we could sit here for hours talking about this, but the law of the jungle, if we can call it that, and I've talked about the carnivores that a cat can only survive on other meat.
Are you a carnivore?
I eat some meat, yes.
But are you a carnivore? Are you a cat?
No, I'm not.
Just for the record, are you a cat?
Garfield.
No, I'm not.
I'm
not a cat.
I did see him earlier. He was licking his asshole back the stage. I saw it.
Yeah.
Might be a cat. I don't know. Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not.
so you're a human. You're an omnivore. You have a choice.
I did see him licking his paws
Yeah, that's up to him.
in the room over there.
Yeah, it's efficient. You don't have to wash your hands.
Yeah.
You have a choice, right? You can choose to consume animals, but the fact that you can survive without doing it means that you can either choose the murder and abuse and exploitation of animals, view them as a commodity, a resource, or you can choose to eat plant-based and cause no suffering, no exploitation. There will be suffering. Veganism is not perfect, but it's the greatest reduction we can have on suffering and to eliminate exploitation.
When you say veganism, there will be suffering. What sort of suffering are you talking about there? I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, so there's like an inevitability. So in farming, even if it was a worm in the soil, if you accidentally kill a worm or intentionally kill a worm to harvest food, that is death, that is a form of suffering.
Yep.
We're just talking about the difference between intentional death and non-intentional death.
Do you guys think that a worm's life is equivalent to a pig's life or like a wolf? It's like the same thing?
Yeah,
Or a wolf.
they're all sentient individuals. I view non-human animals and human animals as the same. We are all animals, we are all sentient, we are all people.
Okay. Well, this is how I see it. I have nothing against veganism whatsoever, right? And I have nothing against your nude displays at butchers. In fact, I actually think you're quite attractive. I've thought about opening my own butcher stall, get a personal solo show, right?
Make sure it's a vegan butcher.
Look, she's not going to come there if it's a vegan butcher.
That's true.
Advertise.
So some animals must die for the cause. However, there's a statement that you make that if you're not an animal, if you are not a vegan, you're an animal abuser. I think that statement is quite frivolous. It has no foundation. And the reason why is I look at the law of the jungle. I look at the law of our ancestors, right? And we go all the way into the Amazon rainforest, one of the most intense and insane environments to survive in, right? There's fucking jaguars in there, there's plants that will kill you, some plants will make you see God, some plants will make you shit yourself. So it's sufficient enough to say that it's a very complex environment. To survive in there, the indigenous must understand and have a connection with the natural kingdom. And for thousands of years, they've been using animals as a principal form in their diet. And not only just that, Native Americans, the native Siberians, the native Africans, then come all the way down into Australia. 40,000 years old are the indigenous people of this land. 40,000, that's a fucking big deal to survive that long. I can't even survive one day. I got bills coming in, the voice in my head tells me I'm fat, you know what I mean? Like, it's a struggle. 40,000 years is big, right? I'm not Asian, but I know 40,000 years is big. So, surely, you got it.
Did you say I'm not Asian?
Yeah, because 40,000 years calculations, numbers,
Right, okay.
you got it? You're meant to be quick, man.
I meant to be quick.
But
I'm not Asian.
surely in 40,000 years, you would have learned a thing or two about the natural kingdom. Otherwise, nature would have spat it out. Would have spat the indigenous people out, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
But they're still around. So I'm going to look at them and I'm going to be like, hey, look, what the fuck are you guys doing? I want to emulate what you're doing into my life and use that as a survival tactic.
Tash, you want to go take that one?
Yeah, well, humans are evolving all the time, so I have no doubt that, well, even in some cultures now, that they do rely on consuming animals for their survival, and using animals has always been a part of, human evolution. But for a majority of our human population, we do not need to be eating animals, and that's a fact. That's what Jack has just stated with the evidence. Every leading dietetic and nutrition association across the globe states that a plant-based vegan diet is healthy and safe at all stages of life. So why would we be engaging in these barbaric practices that maybe once were essential for human survival when it's not necessary anymore?
Well, very simply, right? I think the statement is architected in a way that inspires shame and guilt into the end user. That if you're not vegan, you're an animal abuser, right? Now, every indigenous community out there is an animal abuser. These guys have paid the highest forms of respect to the land. And now they're going to be labeled as an animal abuser. Now, a lion out there, right? Or tigers, now 60% of animals in the wild eat other meat. So all of the animal kingdom is now an animal abuser.
We're talking
you just got a lion running around with a wife beater, wearing a fucking Southern Cross tattoo, big mullet, just beating up other animals.
But the difference again there is between necessity. So whilst we would still say that it is abuse, that these indigenous people and other animals are abusing other animals, if you're going to chop someone's head off...
So nature is just abusive?
Absolutely.
Do you guys believe in God?
abusive.
Do you guys believe in a creator, like a divine intelligence?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No. Depends how you define it.
Well, what do you think? Like, do you think there is a higher order to life, a higher reality?
I feel like there's something that we can't be fully aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is how I see it. 65 million years ago was one of the greatest extinction events on the planet. 75% of all animals were wiped out. An asteroid hit the planet. These things were gassed, burnt alive, drowned. They faced the wrath. Now, if there was a higher intelligence, surely it could have just moved the asteroid away.
What the hell, man? How many questions do we ask?
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So
Getting heckled from the audience there, Hammad. Yeah.
So that being said, it's like now he's not
you yell
also
out
an
whatever
animal
you want.
abuser.
If you look at the definition of abuse, it is to treat someone with cruelty and or violence.
Yeah.
So whether it's necessary or not, that is the definition. So taking someone's life, whether again it's necessary or not, is cruel and violent.
Yep.
Right? But most of us are in a situation where we don't need to be cruel and violent to non-human people, and it's time for us to evolve and stop oppressing others of different species. Because most people would agree if we were talking about dogs, right? Some cultures eat dogs, they murder them, they enslave them, and treat them abhorrently, right? And most people would say, well, yeah, it's not necessary. I agree with you. But what is the difference between cows, pigs, chickens, fish, etc.? They should have the right too.
If you had the choice, if you were in the animal's position, you would want someone to choose the option of peace and non-violence.
Be a fucking predator, man. I'm telling you straight up. I would defend myself.
I'm going to round this.
But
I'm going to round
these
this up
animals
and move on to the next one, and I'm going to round this up with a question that I want a yes or no from both of you. A lot of talk about evolution, a lot of talk about asteroids and God, which is getting crazy. But my question is: do you think veganism / plant-based diet is the next step of human evolution? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
I don't, but I want to caveat my answer, sorry, because everyone else has
You touched
spoken
me.
for a lot.
Dr. Love touched
I
me.
don't, but
I know.
where
Get
Tash
emotional.
and Jack are right is we do need to drastically reduce the amount of meat we eat, the pollution that it causes around the planet, and we need to really look at a different way of doing it, and we need to stop overpopulating as well. I think as a species, we are killing the planet as much as anything.
I would say we shouldn't just reduce it. I would say we have to end it, because that would be the equivalent of saying we need to reduce human slavery. It would be like, no, we need to stop and abolish human slavery, and there should be no difference between human slavery and non-human slavery.
How do we abolish human slavery? What do we do?
We make it illegal.
I'm going to roll
That
this.
doesn't completely get rid of it.
I'm going to roll this up.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to roll this up. You heard it from Dr. Love himself. Stop overpopulating and pull out. That's what I say. Especially you, brother. Question 3. And I'm going to throw this to you, Tash, first, and we're going to get an answer for this in about a minute and a half, okay? So be concise. Defend the statement. The mass killing of animals is comparable to the largest Holocaust in history. Now, for anyone asking and thinking what the largest Holocaust in history it was the Cambodian Holocaust, as far as numbers, but there's been a few, and we're just going to chuck that out before anyone starts thinking about it.
So that's a statement that Tash
all are bad, by the way.
By the way, that statement is by Tash, by the way, is it?
Got it on our
Yeah,
shirt.
because obviously this comes from the Holocaust branding of what you guys doing. So the mass killing of animals is comparable to the largest Holocaust in history. Minute and a half, off you pop.
Well, what we subject non-human animals to is in fact the largest Holocaust in history, because every year approximately 80 billion land animals are brutally murdered for human food consumption, along with 2.7 trillion marine animals. So it's by far the largest existing Holocaust in history, and we need to stop it by not contributing to this anymore and stop being an animal abuser by living vegan.
Jack, you got anything to add to that?
I think it's just a basic fact.
Yeah, give it up.
The definition of a Holocaust is a mass destruction. How else would you define it?
Mass destruction and slaughter.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going on. I'm sure everyone would agree that what we're doing to animals is a mass destruction and a mass slaughter. So by definition, the trillions of animals that non-vegans murder every year is a Holocaust.
Dr. Law, take it away.
Okay, the problem I have with the use of the word Holocaust is I think it's deeply offensive to particularly Jewish people who lost 6 million lives in the concentration camps under circumstances that hopefully, well, we saw it in Cambodia, but when you talk about medical experiments on people, gassing them with a chemical and then putting their naked bodies into fires, I just see that as far removed from the slaughter of animals. I see it as completely different.
It's the exact same.
Because I think in terms of the food chain and the natural order of what we are apex predators. We stand at the top of the food chain. We kill and we are killed, but we survive much better than any other form of animal life. It's just, we are going to lose animals to all sorts of things that we need in this world. Survival of people, drugs, keeping indigenous people going on their lands. There's a whole wide range of reasons why animals are killed and need to be killed.
Cool. Well, I actually have a lot of respect for you guys, from the bottom of my heart.
As do I.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because you actually do raise a lot of awareness for the wealth of animals. And I think the crowd should give you some love for that too. That's what I'm
Thank you.
The idea that it's the biggest Holocaust in history, right? Take a look, for example, blue whales, right? A blue whale will eat roughly 4 tons of krill every day. Times that by 7 days in a week, that's 28 tons of krill. Each krill weighs 1 gram, so that's 28 million krill. Times that by 52 weeks in a year, we're in the high billions. Times that by the 25,000 population of blue whales, high trillions. So you want me to believe that now, in our oceans, we have these Hitler mustache wearing blue whales who are just committing a Holocaust on these innocent krill who should be charged with 3rd-degree murder. Whereas these things have been around for 1.5 million years. Surely they understand Mother Nature better than us. 1.5 million years again is no joke, right?
Again, that comes down to choice. The blue whale doesn't have a choice. They've been doing that for millions
Surely
of
they
years.
eat like kelp or some shit from the bottom of the ground.
You go try to tell a blue whale that.
Well,
The thing is, but you do. You have a grocery store. They just have an ocean full of fish.
Should we base our morality on what other species are engaging in?
I agree with you. I agree with you with that. Should we base our morale on what other species are engaging in? The black widow spider, right? She will eat the male after she mates with him. Now, the last thing I want is to have sex with a beautiful woman and she begins to season me up.
I'm not going to lie to you, I'd probably still do
The
it.
spiders do it, right? So she has a right to do that because the spiders do it.
You know, hummus and baba ganoush and, you know, tabbouleh. I don't want that. But what you're talking about is behavioral characteristics. What I'm talking about is survival characteristics that have been ingrained into the biology of every living organism, right? So there should be a balance. There should be vegans, there should be non-vegans, there should be cannibals. Just like in the wild.
Why should there be non-vegans?
Non-vegan.
Should. Why do you say
Because
should?
in nature. Go look at nature. Nature is a reflection.
So some species rape one another, and some would
That's,
argue
again,
use
behaviour.
rape as a
Well, they-
justification
Behaviour, not survival.
for survival.
Not survival.
No,
it's
to
behaviour.
reproduce, some would excuse rape as a reason to reproduce
Well, it
because
happens in
other
our reality
species do
also,
it.
you know what I mean? And look,
Yeah, but it's not
Yeah,
You're
but
okay
it's,
with that?
what? Yeah, well, what the fuck
We'll
are you
take
doing?
that from the audience. What are you saying there, brother?
You're just sitting there talking shit.
Well,
Just sit down.
He said that we do, rape in our culture. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, I'm not here to fix rape, but I'm just saying it does happen. It's the reality.
But would you stop it if you could?
Oh, if it's happening in front of me, of course I'd watch.
would you engage with it?
Of course I'd stop it.
You're clapping there, brother. You're clapping.
This is a bunch of fucking rapists in the crowd. Every single one laughed, bro.
Can I ask why
Careful,
would you
there's a
stop
lawyer and a
Why would I
police
stop it?
officer in this room.
it? Yeah, why would you stop?
Why would I stop
Yeah,
it?
why would you stop the rape?
Not you, the lube. Come on, man. Like,
Is it because it's morally wrong?
yeah, well, it's wrong. Like, I would.
Right.
Yeah.
Because someone is being harmed unnecessarily.
But that's different. You're talking about.
No, but is that
behaviour.
what's happening? It's someone's
Yeah.
being harmed unnecessarily,
Yeah,
yeah?
correct.
So what's the difference between unnecessarily harming non-human animals?
That's survival.
No, but you have a choice. It's not survival.
Every animal's doing it.
Other animals do not have a choice, and you do not base your morals on what happens in nature.
Why not?
Because other animals rape one another. You just agreed on this. It'd be morally wrong.
No, that's a behavioural character.
They also eat one another. Do you want to be eaten?
Me.
Yeah.
Look, if an animal breaks in to my house and I cannot protect myself,
Eat me.
He will rape
look, it is the survival of the fittest. But if I can protect myself, I will eat it. Is that not fair?
If someone breaks into your house, you have a reason to defend yourself.
No,
but we're
me
not
and John-
talking about
Me
that.
and John, we got our shotguns ready, right? Yeah?
On that note, can you chime in with the killing of mass animals is comparable to the largest Holocaust in history. We've gone off to animal rape, which apparently you guys are quite into, which is interesting. The real question is it's nature can't control it. You're saying, what did you say before? You said it's the morality of choice of nature. Can you put that into one phrase, sorry?
I would say it's morally wrong to unnecessarily harm somebody if you
Thought-
have the choice.
Thoughts on that?
I agree with Jack's general statement that it's morally wrong to harm someone else if you have a choice. Generally agree with that. And I agree with Tash when she says animals are sentient beings. I do believe they have a certain understanding of what's going on around them. But I say at the top of the biological chain is the human being, and our importance, I believe, and this may sound arrogant in the eyes of a vegan, but we are far more important than, say, an ant or a cockroach.
Does that justify abusing and murdering them though, just because you think you're more morally important than a non-human
yes,
animal?
yes,
does that
it does.
justify
It does,
enslaving,
and I'll give-
raping, torturing, abusing and stabbing them in the
It
throat?
does excuse what you would term as murder. For example, the feral pig in Australia is tearing up huge tracts of land, trees, and other species in Australia. We are going out and spending millions as taxpayers to wipe out as many of the feral pigs as we can by murdering them, and the same with rabbits and dogs, wild dogs around Australia. So I have no problem with people going out to kill them because it's about our survival.
Can I throw that to you just quietly? What's the view on, I guess, animal abuse, killing in the realm of pests? Because I would say in this realm this is the lesser of two evils. The two, if
To
you want to
kill
kill
the
rabbits,
pests,
right?
yeah.
Because it's for the ecosystem. On the vegan side, how do pests go into your equation?
Something like mosquitoes and shit too?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, firstly, humans are the most destructive species on this planet. We are the ones that are responsible for this, and putting the blame on other species, which humans ourselves have introduced into different environments where they're not native, and then blame them and en masse murder them, put the blame on them for destroying the environment when we are the ones that are doing it. And animal agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction. It's one of the leading causes of climate change, etc. So a big part of this is the animal agricultural industries. I don't agree with murdering someone for that, because would we say let's go on a human cult because this population of humans is destroying the environment? I think most people would say absolutely not. There are other solutions to this instead of taking someone's life.
I think that's pretty well said. So, move on to the next one. You got anything else, H-Man? All right, last question for the debate. It's been going really well, by the way, too. This is, I think this has been a really healthy chat, just quietly. I think all of you are doing really fantastic, and I think you guys are a great audience. So the last statement, defend this statement, or look, just give me your viewpoints on the statement. If you are not a vegan, you are an animal abuser. That is a very direct, that is a very black and white statement. So we'll throw to, we know what everyone's answer is, but I'll throw to you, Johnny. If you are not a vegan, you're an animal abuser.
No, I don't agree. I think we should all have a choice as to what we eat, whether that be animal products, fish and or meat, or be a vegan. I respect a vegan's choice to be a vegan, and I think they're probably doing very good things for the planet by being vegans. But I think in turn they need to respect those who want to survive on a carnivorous diet.
Off to the vegs.
Yeah, well, as Tash said before, abuse is to inflict cruelty or violence. I think by chopping someone's head off or putting them in a gas chamber, ripping off their fur, whatever it is you choose to do, I would say that's abuse. And if you're not vegan, you are funding that. You are directly contributing to that. It's happening because of you. So you inflict abuse. If you're not a vegan, you are an animal abuser. It's a fact.
Yeah, whether we're talking about the dairy industry who are raping cows to breed babies into existence to steal her breast milk from her and murder the male calves for simply being born male, or the egg industry who exploit females for their eggs and macerate the baby male chicks on their first day of life, or putting 6-month-old pigs and forcing them into gas chambers where they literally burn from the inside out. We've been to these slaughterhouses hearing them scream for their lives. To think that something humane happens in a slaughterhouse shows that you've been clearly brainwashed, because they fight until their very last breath and then they have their throats slit. And it's unnecessary violence because, again, the science shows that we can thrive on a plant-based diet. And to think that animal abuse doesn't happen in the meat, dairy, egg, leather, wool, animal entertainment, racing industries is incredibly ignorant.
I agree with you, and that should be stopped. Animal torture should be stopped. There's no question about it. But I actually went to John Martin's farm. You debated him last time. And for the people who are online, there's a video playing with you right now, because I don't have it here. But his animals loved him. He went all the way down to using warm milk for squeezing the goat's nipples to milk them, because he knows that they're comfortable with that. So he called each goat by name, and they all came running to him, like happy. And I was like, wow, this is I want to be on your farm.
But how
But
happy?
last time he said, I eat the damn things.
Yeah, how happy are they going to be when he chops off their
his
head?
slaves love him. So what? He's exploiting them for their milk.
I'm gonna
He's
finish
taking
up
the
with
babies
this.
away from the mothers, and he eats the damn things.
I'm going to
quoting
finish up
what
with
he
this.
said.
I get it. I can't imagine killing a cow. Giant, sentient being, walking the plains, complex emotions. It's crazy. But on the other hand, a chicken, I will whack it in the back of the head.
What's the difference?
Any day of the week.
What's the difference?
Chicken's hot and blue.
What makes it okay to chop the chicken's head off but not a cow's head
It's
off?
like dangling around and shit.
So just the physical difference? So what if there was a human that you didn't see, you saw as inferior or less intelligent to another human? Is that okay to then chop their head off?
Off with his head.
So you would kill a less intelligent human?
Look, nature will kill it, not me, because it won't survive nature.
So why would you do it to the chicken?
I was kidding, man.
Oh, okay.
Just chicken caught on
Just
blue.
kidding. All right.
You said caught on blue.
Chicken caught on blue.
Oh, blue.
Yeah.
All
All right, let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Tash and Jack over here. Incredibly great debating. I'd just like to personally say myself that I think what you guys are doing is extremely brave, and anybody that does whatever they believe in the world to the fullest, I think, is absolutely admirable. And I look forward to watching what you guys are doing later.
Thank you.
Massive round of applause for them, guys. They came down here to put a show on for you guys and showcase.
If anybody wants to follow your journey, is there places you can do it? And online, is there anywhere you can do that?
Yeah, you can just search Tash Peterson on social media and Jack Higgs. And
Tash Peterson,
our
Jack
pages.
Higgs on social
Yeah.
media if you want to follow the journey. Thank Dr. Dr. Love. You are articulate, sexy, and you've won a few fans tonight just quietly. So thank you very much for coming down and being the articulate, smart man you are. Round of applause for this man before he says something else to drop a mic. He wants to get you a number. He's putting his hand up. As
I want to be your friend after this.
No, look, this debate was a hard call for me, a hard
He just
call
brushed that
rather,
off.
because I personally admire what Jack and Tash do. I think they're making a very important statement on a huge range of fronts, and so I personally applaud you for what you've both been doing.
Thanks very much.
We don't necessarily see eye to eye on every topic,
Sure.
but 90% of what you both say and do, I 100% agree with, and I think you're both very brave for doing it.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Humble. He's so good. Any parting words from the audience before we wrap this up? Yeah, brother?
So I had a question.
Keep it quick and nice, yeah? Let's go.
Well, I'm Jewish, and I feel that the Holocaust actually is a uniquely Jewish term. Is there another term that actually can be used rather than the Holocaust?
So what you're saying here is the Holocaust is specifically related to the Jewish Holocaust, which is correct. But if you look at the definition of a Holocaust, it is mass-scale destruction or slaughter. And multiple Holocausts have happened throughout human history. Like we mentioned the Cambodian Holocaust, there's the Armenian Holocaust, and there's the non-human animal Holocaust. So to say that it's offensive to only Jewish people is not only offensive to the other people who have been subjected to Holocaust, but it's offensive to non-human people because they can be subjected to the same atrocities that humans can too.
One more question and then we're going to wrap it up.
One more
It
question.
says
This guy
specifically
got in
by
earlier
fire
over
or
here,
nuclear
so
war. It's
we'll,
not exclusively by fire or nuclear war.
over here in the corner, and then we'll wrap it up.
Evolution is an interesting point in terms of progression. What's the long-term solution? So we talked about pests, we talked about invasion into ecosystems, but what's the long-term solution for the planet?
Long-term solution for the planet. 1 minute, go. Jack, you'd had the last one. Jack, go.
I would say the long term is veganism. I would say it's veganism. To put it simply, but Tash can.
Why do you find that funny?
Guys,
What is so funny?
be
You
respectful,
sound
guys.
really, embarrassed.
The question was probably more, we can't just stop now.
Why can't you?
Well, there's probably a variety of things that come into that. We talked about pests as an example, and I'm not saying I'm saying it's a positive point. But how do we communicate the message so it's a progression to the point where we get to where we want to be? Not just pull the handbrake, everything stops, change it now.
Starts with individuals like you. Starts with every individual that makes the decision to go vegan. Domino effect that. If every vegan, say, I saw this fact last night, in the USA, there's 1 million, as a conservative number. If every vegan convinced one other person to go vegan, they would have a vegan country in 10 years. So it's a domino effect, and it's as simple as that. It's got to happen over time, but there's no reason that you can't change tonight.
Yeah, it's just how social
said,
change
Jack. I thought that
happens,
was
whether
very
we
good.
look at the civil rights movement, women's rights and the suffragettes and what they did to get women's rights and the right to vote. It's a gradual process, but through disruptive activism and civil disobedience and creating that mass chain, and like you said, a domino effect, that's how we'll achieve it.
Yes.
Why are you
Yeah,
so
one
obsessed with my OnlyFans?
He's on there.
You've brought it up 10 times. I'm here to talk about animal
That's
rights.
fucking wild, man.
I've seen his face on there. I've seen his face.
Yeah, true.
that
Hold
top
up. Now everyone's piping up. To finish this off, 30 seconds. What's the long-term solution on your side to get some peace and balance in the world? What do
I
you
think to get peace and balance in the world, we need to dramatically decrease our population stock. I think and I'm not saying we do that by having a Holocaust. I'm not saying we do that at all, but I do think this planet is terribly overpopulated. And for example, there was a radical singer in my early days who in fact turned ultra-conservative and ended up supporting a fatwa against Salman Rushdie. His name was Cat Stevens. And he had a song called Where Do the Children Play? And he kept on saying, do we keep on building skyscrapers until there's no more room up there? Do we bitumenise every car park? Do we keep making the freeways bigger and bigger so every car can go down them? Sorry, and there has to be a limit to what we keep doing to the planet and buggering it up. And that's why the point that you both make in terms of, mass scale agriculture, it's wrong.
Can I make one fact just on that, just one sentence, pretty much? If you want to reduce the population stock, the best thing you can do is by going vegan, because tens of billions of animals are bred forcibly into existence, and they make up the majority of the population of species on Earth. If we were able to go vegan, we would no longer be breeding billions.
It's the human beings that are doing the most damage.
But there's more animals that we are breeding into existence than humans.
Livestock animals occupy more land than humans do.
Yeah.
Therefore, more forest destroyed, species extinction, climate devastation.
If you can do this
in
in
the oceans, rip the fish out
Hold
of
up.
the dolphins.
If you can do this in 10 seconds, you got a question. And if you can answer it in 15 seconds each, we're on. Go.
So, I don't want to kill animals, I don't want to do all that thing, and if I want to be vegan, how would I consume the essential amino acid which we get from the meat instead of all the vegetarian stuff?
All amino acids
So
can be found.
his question is, I don't want to kill animals, I don't want to kill meat.
But I want nutrition.
But I want nutrition. How do I get all the essential amino acids?
15 seconds, go.
Yeah, all of the nutrients that you find in animal-based foods can be found in plant-based foods. You can supplement B12. You can. All the same amino acids. There's millions of vegans thriving. Dietetic Association support.
My question to you is, why do you have an earpiece on? You running fucking Uber or some shit?
All right, should we wrap that up? Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for everybody tonight.
Let's wrap it up, guys. Massive round of applause to Tash and Jack for coming out here and raising awareness of animal welfare. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much.